249 years ago, when Thomas Jefferson declared that all men are created equal, was a self-evident axiom. He was already borrowing moral capital from a rapidly receding philosophical system. It was a system of objective value whose origin was in the transcendent, a reality which stood before and behind our world, our life, our derivative systems of social structures and governance. It's not entirely clear how robust Jefferson's transcendental belief system was. He certainly still had strong moral feelings and convictions, but where exactly did they come from? How could he be so confident in his own moral convictions, on which he was prepared to stake not only his own life, but the life of an entire confederation of political entities which would become the United States, if he couldn't confidently point to an origin of those morals, a reality beyond this world of fallibility and corruption, which grounded and validated those morals with an authority beyond question or challenge? 2.5 centuries later, the situation is even more desperate for those who would claim any moral certitude with not only an etiolated and vague deism like Jefferson had, but now only the haziest notion of a great beyond or spiritualism or something, or else full-on atheistic rejection of anything but a blind physicalist, materialist reality. Where exactly did your morals come from? Did you inherit them? Did you pick them up from school, college, a book club, YouTube, TikTok, a late-night comedy show? I mean, where did those places get their moral beliefs from? If they don't ultimately derive, from a transcendent revelation, then you have to conclude that they've accidentally evolved or just been invented and are no more morally meaningful than the theories of gravity or thermodynamics. It has not been the case throughout most of the world's civilizations or most of history that the concept all men are created equal was at all intelligible. Perceived value for human life usually didn't extend beyond the immediate family or maybe the tribe or the city-state. What was it that transformed both the Roman Empire and the Gauls of the 4th century, both the classical and the barbarian pagans? What was it that made them change their moral systems utterly? It was notions like this: God made of one blood all nations of men to dwell on the face of the earth. Acts 17:26. God created all humanity in his own image. Genesis 1:27. For there is no difference between Jew and Greek. The same Lord is Lord of all. Romans 10:12. In other words, it took a conviction that there is one God and creator of the world, and that all people are the same equal creation of that God, in order for ideas about the value of foreigners and slaves to begin changing across the globe. Let me say it more clearly so I'm not misunderstood. It took the spreading and internalizing of Christian ideas for the eventual rise and ascendancy of Christian values in the West to establish entire governments based on the idea that all men are created equal, or to abolish the international slave trade, or to formalize an international court of human rights, or to create an atmosphere that we all live and breathe in, which now has so many of these ideas just assumed and sacrosanct. But there are still questions of application, gray areas where the concept of the rights of some people seem to overlap or tread on or crowd out the rights of other people. And these are tough cases, but I don't see many people treating them like tough cases, which require patience and subtlety and humility and courage to work out. I'm mostly just seeing polarized camps and tribes again, fighting each other with rhetorical and tragically, sometimes even actual weapons, while insisting they unambiguously possess moral certitude. But ask half of them to present their, moral origins and provenance, and they won't even understand or comprehend what you're asking or talking about. And so I'm asking you, where do your morals come from? Can you trace their line of descent? Are you confident in their origins? And if not, maybe just take a beat before asserting or responding out there in the world with all that righteous fervor. Maybe just take a breath and ask yourself, in the quiet privacy of your own home, why do I believe what I do? Where do my beliefs come from? And also, are my perceived enemies really of a wholly different moral language and origin, or are we actually closer than it may seem in the social media environment out there? And could we benefit from establishing more common ground before carefully, charitably hashing out our diverging perspectives? I'm challenging all of us, myself included, to work with as much grace and delicacy as possible, and to think critically about our own perspectives, and to think charitably about other people's perspectives. And my reason for doing this is rooted in my religious and philosophical convictions that we are all created equal under one God, a God who is good and who loves mankind.